All right, you have selected a topic that you care about, an issue that you think is important. You've come up with some solutions or a way that you think you can make this problem better, and you've worked hard to put it into an essay. Now we need to work on making it perfect, because the hard truth is, if there are a lot of mistakes in your writing, people don't see the message, they only see the mistakes. And this isn't just true for ELL students. This is true for famous people, for politicians. You can see anybody getting roasted on social media if they make too many mistakes in their writing. So we want to make sure that you go through your essay and you do some editing and some proofreading to make it as good as it can possibly be before you submit it. On page 360 in your book, if you'd like to follow along with me, we're going to look at 4 different things for you to focus on as you edit and proofread your draft. The first thing is capitalization. And a lot of you are really good at this already, and so this is just a quick review, but we always capitalize the names of places. So if in your essay you have written about a problem in our community, then you would capitalize the name of the city you're writing about, whether it's Coralville, Iowa City, North Liberty. Maybe you're writing about the whole state of Iowa, that would be capitalized, or the United States, both U in United and S in States. If you're writing about a problem within your school, you capitalize the name of all 3, West High School, City High School, or Liberty High School. You always capitalize the name of the school completely. Now, however, if you are looking at just a high school, you don't capitalize that. If you're talking about just a town or a state and it's not specific, then you don't capitalize. So here are 3 sentences for you to try to fix the capitalization errors. Number 1, bullying has become a major issue at Lincoln High School. So knowing what we just said about capitalizing names of buildings, how would you fix number 1? Number 2, a study in Norway showed how to reduce bullying. We have a country in there, so what would you need to do with the name of that country? And number 3, we can help make our high school safer for everyone. Did they mention a specific high school, or do you need to do some editing there? The next thing to look at in your essay is using apostrophes correctly. An apostrophe has 2 purposes. One, it can represent a missing letter or letters in a contraction, such as can't for cannot, or she'll for she will, or didn't for did not. Let me just add here that in an academic paper, you usually want to avoid contractions. Contractions are something that we use when talking to friends, when we are having a casual conversation. So if you are at the lunch table talking to your friends and say, I can't go out tonight because I'm grounded, you can use a contraction. But if you are writing a paper for school, you want to focus on these actual words that are not contractions. So I cannot stress enough how important it is to do your homework. So think about your audience. If you are writing this problem solution essay for a teacher to read or for adults to read, you probably don't want to use these contractions with apostrophes at all. But you might need apostrophes for the second purpose, to show possession. It belongs to somebody. So it is Marco's book. It is the school's policy. It is the girls' class. And 2 rules to remember when using apostrophes. The apostrophe goes after the final S of a plural word. So twins, that indicates 2 people, right? The twins' school. So it goes after the S. The 3 bullies' detention. How many bullies are there? There are 3 of them. So the apostrophe goes after the S if it's more than 1. And here's a tricky one that a lot of people, even native English speakers, have problems with. An apostrophe is only used with the pronoun it when forming the contraction it is. So that's a little tricky because, like up here, when you think about the girls' class, apostrophe S shows possession. So sometimes people want to put it apostrophe S when talking about like an animal. Like if I was saying the horse's tail, and I changed horses to its tail. But the rule is a contraction is only for it is. So if I said it apostrophe S tail in talking about the horse, it is tail doesn't make any sense. But I could say it is not fun to get picked on. So if you have it apostrophe in your essay, you might just want to do that check and make sure that you can change it to it is. If you can't change this to it is, then it's not the it's that uses an apostrophe. So here are 3 little practice sentences. Number 1, bullying affects students' school experience. Number 2, the same number of students are reported as being bullies. And number 3, it's clear that bullying causes its victims major stress. I'll give you a hint. One of these it's is correct and one is not correct. Which one can you say it is? All right, go to the next page. Oops, let me advance here. The next thing that we want to look at in doing your editing, and revision is to check your spelling. This is probably also a review for you, but you want to add ES to nouns that end with CH, S, SH, X, or Z. So for example, I ride one bus, but the school has many buses. I made one wish of my 3 wishes. If the noun ends in a consonant plus Y, change the Y to I and add ES. So I've got one baby, but many babies. Change the Y to I and add ES. You can give me one daisy, or you can give me a bouquet of daisies. Change the Y to I and add ES. And then there's this tricky English trick here of changing an F or an FE to V and adding ES when you make it plural. So a leaf might fall from a tree that has many leaves. You have one wife, but you and your siblings have many wives. So see if you can get these 3 here. Number 1, bullying can take the form of throwing punches. Check the rule up here. Number 2, bullies may have trouble at home. It ends with a Y, so how do you need to change that one? And number 3, these feelings can stay with victims well until their adult lives. Lives isn't even a word, so change that one. And finally, the area where you're probably going to want to spend your most time as you're doing your editing. If you're pretty good with those other pieces of grammar, you know how to capitalize correctly, you know how to use apostrophes correctly, you're really good at spelling plurals, then maybe this is the area where you need to do some work. When you list a series of things, actions, or ideas in a sentence, they must be parallel in form. What that means is each word, phrase, or clause in the series must have the same function or word pattern. For example, do not mix nouns with verbs. So here's an example of a sentence that is not correct. Administrators must communicate with teachers, students, and talk to parents. That might be true, right? That those are things that administrators do, but communicate and talk to pretty much mean the same thing. Who am I communicating with? Teachers, students, and parents. So you can see here that they corrected the sentence by saying administrators must communicate with teachers, students, and parents. Now, if you want to use more than one verb, so you liked the verb communicate and you liked talk to, well, then you need 3 different verbs because you've got 1, 2, but you don't have a verb here with student. So another way to correct this could be to say administrators must communicate with teachers, listen to students, and talk to parents, because then I've got 3 verbs that are showing what I'm doing. Also, do not mix words or phrases with independent clauses. So an incorrect example would be, bullying can take the form of throwing punches, name-calling, exclusion, and some students even get harassed on the internet. A better way to say that would be, bullying can take the form of throwing punches, name-calling, exclusion, and even internet harassment. Because you have here mixed in some students even get harassed, whereas what you really want to say is this is a thing, this is a thing, this is a thing, this is a thing. Okay, so try to keep everything the same. See if you can fix this. Bullying can cause physical injuries, stress, result in poor grades, and it often leads to depression. I'll give you a hint. How can you make it the same? What are some things that it causes? Bullying can cause physical injuries, stress. There are 2 more things that it can cause that you don't need these verbs. All right, those are the tips that the book has for you for your editing and revision. It says, remember these tips whenever you write. Use them for all kinds of writing. The more you practice, the better you will be. So again, please take the time to go through your essay, see if there are things that you can fix. I would highly recommend reading each sentence out loud, because sometimes when you were just writing those ideas and getting it down into your doc, you went so fast that you didn't even think about it. And you think you know what you put on the paper, but a person who reads it is going to say, what is he talking about? So if you read each sentence out loud and then make the corrections that you need to make, that's going to make your paper a lot better. So be sure to get in touch with your teacher if you need help. Otherwise, good luck and happy editing.